In the upcoming Formula 1 season this year, 3 rookie drivers will be making their full-time debut, one of these drivers being Nyck de Vries. A latecomer to Formula 1 nowadays, as he'll be 28 at the Bahrain Grand Prix, de Vries missed out on Formula 1 after his Formula 2 title win in 2019, instead being forced to race in Formula E, where he also won the title. However, his chance came at the 2022 Italian Grand Prix, when he was able to make his Formula 1 debut for Williams Racing after Alex Albon fell ill, and his impressive performance of 9th place earned him a place at Scuderia AlphaTauri for the 2023 season. With a lot of mixed opinions on him going into the season, how will Nyck de Vries perform in 2023? To conclusions straight away, let's first have a look at Nyck's career so far. Born in a town in the Netherlands I know I can't pronounce, so I won't try, de Vries had a highly impressive karting career, winning the German Karting Championship, the FIA European Championship, and the FIA World Championship twice. Going into cars backed by McLaren, after 2 decent but not outstanding seasons in Formula Renault in 2012 and 2013, in 2014 he comfortably won both the Formula Renault 2.0 Euro Cup and the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps Series. True, he was in his 3rd campaign, although in the Euro Cup, 3rd place Albon was also in his 3rd campaign, and 2nd place Olsen was in his 2nd, but de Vries did score more than twice the points of any other competitor. And in the Alps Series, he beat the likes of Charles Leclerc and George Russell, although both drivers were in their debut cars season, so it would be a bit embarrassing if he didn't. Nyck then finished 3rd in the 2015 Formula Renault 3.5 season as a rookie, although it wasn't a hugely competitive championship. After a fairly decent GP3 campaign in 2016 with 2 wins and 6th place overall, de Vries made his Formula 2 debut in 2017, where he managed 7th in the standings. His team did have significant financial issues, which ended up with him being swapped to a different team halfway through the season without being told about it in advance. So it wasn't the easiest of conditions, and it almost led him to quit single-seater racing, but it was an okay season nonetheless. Moving to frontrunners Prema in 2018, he finished 4th with 3 wins, just behind Albon, Lando Norris, and then the champion George Russell. He beat his teammates and some other promising drivers, although when you're trying to get into Formula 1, beating Sean Gelael is not the highest of achievements, although maybe it is a high achievement for him. After the long support of McLaren throughout his career, de Vries left them after this year, as he believed he should have got the 2019 McLaren seat over Carlos Sainz. But McLaren signing 2 rookies off the back of a dreadful 2018 season probably wouldn't have been the best idea. I mean, we've seen what happens when you sign 2 rookies now. He moved to ART Grand Prix for his 3rd crack at Formula 2 in 2019, and 3rd time's the charm, as they say, as this year he won the title with 4 wins. The competition this year wasn't quite as tough as 2018, with Latifi coming 2nd, but a Formula 2 title is still pretty good going, and he drove really well throughout the season. Prior to this, the F2 champion had usually always found his way into F1 the following year, but de Vries was not a pay driver, and in the end, he lost out and did not make it. Following this, he went into Formula E, the home of F1 retirees and rejects, with Mercedes, which also landed him a test driver role with them in Formula 1 for the 2020 season. His first Formula E season was alright, coming 11th, but his 2nd season in 2021 was the one, as he won the title. The last race swung massively in his favour, as all of his title rivals crashed out, but it's still not bad, and most of Formula E seems to be down to being in the right place at the right time. This year, he also became a reserve driver for Mercedes F1, which he continued into 2022. His 2022 Formula E campaign was not much to brag about, however, finishing 9th overall with some questionable racecraft. In the years after his F2 win, it seemed like Formula 1 was off the cards, and that his career would lie in Formula E and in endurance racing, which he'd also been doing. Although it became increasingly more possible in 2022 when he became the test driver for half the teams, and Mercedes wanted to get him into F1. But the turning point was the 2022 Italian Grand Prix, when de Vries was called up by Williams at the last minute to replace Albon, who had appendicitis. And this was an impressive weekend for him, having had 1 hour in FP3 to adjust to the car and to prepare for qualifying. Nyck made it into Q2 and qualified 13th, ahead of teammate Latifi in 16th, who'd been driving the car all season. He'd start the race in 8th due to grip penalties, and finish 9th in the race, which is not bad for a debut. Monza was the best track for Williams of the year, but he held off cars behind him for the entire race, and was on the pace, unlike Latifi, who finished a lap down in 15th. This proved that he deserved a shot in F1, which Helmut Marko saw, and chose him as the replacement of the outgoing Pierre Gasly from AlphaTauri. So the question is, how will he do this year? Well, his career so far shows that he's certainly talented. A lot of people on the wonderful platform of Twitter have called him mid, and have also thought he's a bit full of himself, which honestly has been true at times in his career. And whilst I don't think he's necessarily front-row material in Formula 1, I do believe he's earned his seat there, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does. He's shown that he's very adaptable to different cars, and that he does have pace, so I can see him impressing in Formula 1, but we'll have to see. Although I'm not sure how wise of a decision it was signing him at AlphaTauri alongside Tsunoda, since it'll be two very inexperienced drivers. But it will be interesting, and I can see him proving Twitter wrong as a decent driver. We'll have to see, and let me know how you think he'll do in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, but with that, I'm Daniel, have a nice day.